Hi, my name is Mason Dukacek. I'm a business consultant and the co-author of the book Sales Utopia: How to Get the Right People Doing the Right Things Enough Times. I put this short video together and others like it to share ideas that I thought might be helpful. The days of excess staffing, workplace injuries, and unnecessary overtime costs to get important work standards accomplished may be coming to an end. Want to know how to cut those kind of costs quickly and easily? Because reliable employees make it to work when they're supposed to, unnecessary overtime costs can be avoided. Because employees with a rock-solid work ethic who don't use drugs usually get significantly more work accomplished than others and are less likely to cause injuries to themselves or others, clients tell us it makes sense to screen job applicants and measure their reliability, work ethic, and attitudes towards substance abuse before they hire them. More companies are turning to pre-employment tests that measure things like work ethic, reliability, and attitudes towards substance abuse to solve those kinds of problems in advance because it's far cheaper and much less frustrating than trial and error. The Ensure survey is just one example of many popular pre-employment tests that I'm familiar with, and it maximizes the probability of you hiring folks who realize that a job is a privilege and are willing to exchange an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. Here's how it works. It measures integrity, attitudes towards substance abuse, reliability, and work ethic on a scale from 1 to 9, higher scores being better. It even has a built-in distortion score, commonly referred to as a lie scale, that alerts you if applicants try to fake good and give answers that they think you want to hear instead of the truth. Higher scores on the distortion score indicate a greater degree of candor from applicants who take this pre-employment test. Notice how it says, Ensure distortion deals with how candid and frank the respondent was while taking this assessment. Scores of 6 or less may indicate that responses have been made in a less than candid manner. If you want to know how to hire reliable, drug-free employees with a solid work ethic, then let's focus on those portions of a sample report and explore the ways you can use that information to solve related problems in advance. When this psychometric test was validated by the industrial psychologist who created it, it was given to two populations. One was a group of convicted felons on parole, so they had no incentive to try and impress anyone by giving answers that they thought would be more desirable, and a group of top performers. The ages, races, and sexes of the participants were varied and analyzed to make sure the employment test results were not discriminatory by age, race, or sex and in compliance with the EEOC's 80% rule. The majority of the felons who took this pre-employment test scored 4 or less on each of the scales for substance abuse, reliability, and work ethic. Notice 4 or less on substance abuse, 4 or less on reliability, 4 or less on work ethic. The majority of top performers all scored 5 or better in each of those categories. And obviously the red line represents the barrier between the two. This psychometric test also identifies as red flags by category the statements that applicants make which affect their scores in a negative way. Let's look at a sample report for Pete Poore. He scored a 6 on reliability, which is a decent score, yet the employment assessment extracted a statement that he made that you'd be wise to explore further. Notice how Pete Poore indicated here that he felt like working through his lunch breaks means he could go home early. Well, to conduct more meaningful interviews in less time, it's easy. All you do is focus on the most concerning things that the applicant said and ask them to explain why they feel that way. If an applicant responds with an answer like, if my boss can't work a schedule properly and I have to work my lunch break to make up for it, then you're darn right I'll be leaving early and that's why the boss gets the big bucks. Well, that's one thing. Conversely, if an applicant says something like, well, it's a policy where I work now that if we work through our lunch break, we're allowed to go home early, well, then that's an entirely different thing. It's a mistake to judge an applicant by their scores alone without giving them the ability to elaborate. One last thing. I mentioned in another video on a similar topic, but it's worth repeating here. There's another way to use employment tests like this that few people think of. What if the job you're offering is, well, for lack of a better term, undesirable? I mean, it's hot, it's hard, it's dirty, and it doesn't pay much, and you have a hard time filling it with hardworking, reliable, and drug-free employees. Well, you can make sure that, given the choice, your high-risk employees aren't working together with other high-risk employees on a night shift given little or no close supervision. Your risks can be dramatically reduced by placing those high-risk candidates in low-risk positions with strict supervision. The people you hire either solve business problems or create more of them. This psychometric test and others like it can help you identify high-risk and high-reward individuals and solve business problems before they occur for far less than you'd normally spend on an hour or two's worth of wages. I hope you found this video helpful. Get access to more free videos at www.reverseriskconsulting.com.